going to be the lecture notes for domain and range, and I'm going to do a couple problems from Study Island for you on this video. So hopefully it will, if you're not here, you need to brush up, but hopefully it'll be a good review for you. But anyway, domain and range. The hardest part about domain and range is keeping the definition straight. Just to try to give you the bare minimum definition that all you need to know about this is the domain is the X values. Sometimes they call them the inputs. And you have to pull your pencil up and down or vertically to test it when you're checking for a graph. The range is the Y coordinates. It's also known as the output, and you're going to hold your pencil left to right or horizontally. Figure out a way to help yourself remember it. I had a student one year said, well, think of like a range. If you're hitting golf balls down the driving range or at a rifle range or whatever it is you're doing, it's going to be, you're hitting them towards the horizon or you're shooting at the horizon. So that's how he remembered to hold his pencil that way. I've also had students, the way I used to teach it was, if you knew the lesson or the legend of King Arthur, he always had the sword and the stone, and the sword's name was Excalibur. So I always said, well, the X for Excalibur, that was in the stone like that, so that's how I remembered that you hold it up and down. Now, if you're dealing with ordered pairs, the easiest way to remember it is that X comes before Y in an ordered pair, because they go alphabetically, and D comes before R alphabetically. So the domain goes with the X, and the R goes with the range goes with the Y. So domain goes with X, range goes with the Y, because everything's alphabetized. Other things you need to keep in mind is an open circle means value not included, and a solid dot means value included. Most of the questions in this section are rather easy. The graphs can get a little hairy, but most of them, and I've already written on these just to kind of give myself notes on what to talk about. Let me zoom in and I'll show you what we mean. There you go. There's your nausea. Take your Dramamine before you watch my videos. Okay, what is the domain of this data? Well, I just told you domain goes with X. So all they want to know are these values: 4.5, 4.6, 4.7, 4.8, and 4.9. If you confuse the definition, they're going to be ready to catch you on it. If you say, well, I thought domain is the range, or domain is the Y, so is it this? Is it 4.1, 2, 3, 4, 5? It'll be right there for you to make that mistake when you look at the multiple choice. Sorry, I was pointing at this. This is the range. So if you have domain and range confused as far as your working goes, it's going to goof you up. Question 6 on this one is asking for the range, so it just wants the Y coordinates. So -4, -5, -10, -16. And the people at Study Island know the common mistake is you're going to get them backwards, and they're going to have the domain waiting for you. So right there, B is the domain. So remember, domain, the letter D, goes with the X, and R, the range, goes with the Y. If you can remember that, you can do most of these without any problem. Couple things. Sometimes they're going to show you a graph. Okay, they're going to give you an equation, you have to graph it. You need to have a graphing calculator to do it. We haven't done graphing yet in class. We'll get to that after probably after Christmas, maybe before. But anyway, if you want to graph an equation, on your calculator, you go into the Y equals button. The Y equals button's right here. And I'm going to type this equation, and it was 29 minus X. 29 minus X. This is the X button. Right here is the X button. You hit that, it'll pop up the X. And then you hit graph. Now I'm using this problem as an example because you can see the little cursor blinking there. If you rewind the video, you'll see that little flash. That's the calculator's way of saying it's graphed, but you can't see it. So in order to see the graph, this is what you need to do. Push the zoom button and scroll down until you find zoom fit. What zoom fit will do, it'll recalibrate the window and give you at least a picture of your graph. At least it gets you something to look at. So I know that this is a line, and I know that lines go on forever. Okay, now in this question, they want to know the domain, and I told you before, you're going to hold your pencil up and down, just like Excalibur. Lines go forever, so this line is going to go on forever until it approaches infinity. We'll also head in the other direction, to negative infinity. So you can say the domain is all real numbers, or you can write it like that, from negative infinity to positive infinity, with an X as your variable, because it's very specific, because the X is your domain. Okay? Let's take a look at this question. This question, they're asking you for the range. What is the range of this? Let me zoom out just a bit. Okay, what is the range of the given graph? So to test for range, you're going to hold your pencil like this. Okay, the first value I come across here is a solid dot right here at Y is 0. Just like you got taught in middle school. When they asked you to plot ordered pairs, you plot them the same way. So -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. So I know that my ordered pair is -6, 0. I know that the range goes with the y coordinate. That's why I hold my pencil like that. I don't care about what the x is. The very first value I see is the 0 for the domain. And it goes all the way up to 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, I can't see any new glasses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So from 0 to 7, you'll find values on the y-axis. So you can pick any point here, and you would have a y-ordered pair for it. This y-ordered pair would be -1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 is part of the range. I don't care what the x is. It doesn't make a difference. Okay, they only want to know the range. So from 0 to 7, and it's got solid dots, so we're going to include the values. We're going to use the equal to. Because equals to, or less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, doesn't matter. If it has a word equal to in it, you're using a solid dot. I don't know why I wrote them twice. It should just be that. Sorry. And just as a review, I did go over this in another video. That would be the open circle. Okay? Stay tuned for the part 2, and I'll show you some of my homemade problems. They're a little more involved and a little better looking than these ones.